Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Game Hub. I'm your host Gamer K. It is finally the end of March. March Madness has finally ended. And it is time for my last video of the month. And to kind of give a theme of this one, here are a couple song lyrics that pretty much encompasses this video. It's good when jokes come together finally. That is correct. I am going to be talking about the one thing that every story needs. Because while we need the villains, we need the heroes of the day to save the world, save the girl, sometimes get friend-zoned by said girl for centuries until a reboot series finally makes them a couple. I'm looking at you. So in that case, I'm going to be talking about my video game heroes list. And obvious rules are in effect. Games I've played, one hero per franchise, and to do another kind of specific rule, video game origin characters only. So as awesome as they were, and as infuriating as this may make some, Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Arkham Batman will not be on this list. For obvious reasons, because, yeah, they're great characters. They're great. But they weren't video game origined, so I can't really put them on the list and compare them to these characters who are fully came from video game series. I was originally going to put Bigby from the Wolf Among Us on here, but then I remembered the Wolf Among Us was based on the Fables comics, so that had to go too. So I'm looking at these heroes from their personality, what makes them a great hero, a lot of their the stuff they go through, a lot of the stuff that we go through with them because we are these heroes. And by going through their turmoil, their joy, their struggles, we bond with them so much. And again, this is my opinion on certain characters. If you have your own opinion on these characters, or if you think I missed a character, yeah. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy Gamer K's Top 13 Video Game Heroes. Because why Top 13? Because here at the Game Hub, only the odd can be number one. Okay, this one is, oh boy, one of my first mature video games. One of my first. I'm very surprised that how Rockstar, a company known for making you play the gangster, the mob guy, the villain, the absolute psychopath who is still freaking fantastic, could make a game where playing as a cop a little bit more interesting and makes you rethink of how you're gonna play in this game. For those of you who don't know, I love detective games, and there is no better detective game for me than Rockstar's, sorry, I keep saying Rocksteady because of the Batman series, L.A. Noire, with our main protagonist, Detective, former Lieutenant Cole Phelps, badge 1247. Starting off this list, Cole is the example of a golden boy. A guy who is a war hero, but he doesn't feel like he deserved it because of what happened. Comes back from the war in the 1940s to become a cop. Starts off as a beat cop, and then we work our way through the ranks of the LAPD during the 1947 year, which, and with the game's own continuity being correct, was the highest crime rate year of all of Los Angeles, which I kind of get. Cole starts out from patrol to traffic to homicide to vice, gets demoted, and I'm not gonna lie, Cole's on the bottom of this list for a good majority of reasons, but his good attributes being the golden boy, always doing... Basically, he sticks his nose in too much, and there are a good number of corrupt cops that don't like him, obviously. But overall, he does a great job in every single case, whether you screw the pooch with the case or not. But at the same time, seeing his reactions to a majority of the topics and the questions that we do give him a little bit more dimension in certain aspects, but getting it all correct gives us the true Cole. He can be aggressive when he needs to. He can be snarky when he needs to with his companions. But Cole isn't without his faults. After completing all the traffic cases, we are brought to the Blue Room where he meets the singer, Elsa Lichtman, who... Yeah, they kind of start a fling. It would be nice to see how that started. And then that's what screws us at the end of the Vice chapter, and what gets us bumped down to arson, where we uncover a big conspiracy, and in the end of it, Cole gets washed away. Goddamn. One of the few times in a video game where a hero actually dies, and not just because the player is an incompetent moron, actually canonly dies, really screws over the chance of a sequel. Maybe I spoke too soon. Cole Phelps is on the bottom of this heroes list because as great as he is as the golden boy police officer war hero, he isn't without his faults. And that just makes him a little bit better of a character. But there are higher characters who have gone through a lot worse, who have done a lot worse, and still became an amazing hero. So, gotta give it to you. A cop war hero is the perfect way to start off a heroes list. Now we're going into the sci-fi genre a little bit as we talk about one of the greatest characters that has zero emotion, but at the same time shows so much emotion. I am talking about a robot who acts the part, but still acts kind of human. I'm talking about Sonny from iRobot. Wait, that's a movie. Oh, I see the joke you were going for. Yeah, I'm actually talking about Connor from Detroit Become Human. Seriously, can you tell them apart? Connor being an android who kind of feels like Quantic Dream just took Norman Jayden from Heavy Rain, smacked a not-so-amazing personality trope onto him, made him an android, and basically gave him the same freaking job. Seriously, guys, could you try any less? Aside from that, Connor is despite the premise of him being an android who solves crime, he's actually pretty great of a character. All the nonchalant responses we can give to all the scenarios, to his over-the-top pretending to be a human with anger and distrust. It's freaking great. Connor is such a great character that he has been cosplayed by people since the game's been out, and I love it. Everything he does just makes him even better, and all the negative stuff about him just makes us love him even more. Because obviously he's an android. He doesn't have that many faults, except when it comes to understanding fully about humans. Unless you chose to go the deviant route, and then he fully understands, and he becomes an even better character because of it. And his relationship with Hank... Okay, seriously, disgraced cop, robot partner, were they trying to not be nonchalant about what they were taking from? Although I will admit, Hank is a little bit more of a character because of Clancy Brown's voice acting. Finding out a big revelation, Hank decides to become a deviant, fight the system, and almost gets screwed over by his own internal programming by the end of it. But I'm not going to lie. If they ever were to do a sequel, I would love to see more of Connor's future in this series. Okay, can we go to the next one quickly? As much as I love the game, sometimes the hero can fall so far of what he's supposed to be that it almost feels like a joke. And when his best friend takes over on a game and then becomes even cooler, what I'm getting at is this character has been in so many games, and the only few times where we get to play someone else, he has to jam-pack into the next one even more. How did this get here? Okay, yeah, if you don't know who I'm talking about yet, it's Sora from the Kingdom Hearts series. I'm just admiring this. Nope, that didn't open anything. Guess it's just a prop. So yeah, I like Kingdom Hearts, and I love Sora. He's such a cool, great protagonist. The energetic, dumb, heart of gold character that Disney is known for, and Square Enix. A game series that gives us edgy effing characters every single time, and constantly brings out a whole bunch of amazing women for a lot of people to fall in love with. No, seriously, they have more attractive women than harem anime. But going back to Sora, he's great. He learns from all of his mistakes. And he's not the perfect hero that a lot of video games do when it comes to this kind of series. They were able to go somewhat dark, and oh my god, the spider web of canon problems that tie back to him is immense. But at the same time, he does get along with pretty much everyone. He always gives everyone the benefit of a doubt. In the earlier games, he was a bit more of a moron. I'm not going to say that wasn't irritating. But in the few other games where he grows up, we actually get to see him be serious and dark. There are great moments where Sora feels the hurt when he's reunited with Riku and he searched for him. When he finally reunites with Kairi, and it's not an overly bombastic romance scene, but it's that small hug he gives her after she hugs him, and it's gold. I'm not gonna lie. Would have been great if Kairi could have saved him for once in number 3, but no. And there are just other moments where Sora goes above and beyond for everyone. And a prime example of this is the Caribbean level after fighting Davy Jones, when Sora and Donald and Goofy just attacks Davy Jones after he basically kills Will and hits him in the head. I'm not gonna lie. Removing Bootstrap Bill from this and implementing this into the scene is perfect. Sora is just a great character by how much he cares for his friends, his allies, and basically everyone around him. It's only very slight where we get a little bit of him being stupid. But a majority of the time, when his stupid does come through, it later makes up for it with his courageous heart. Although wondering if that courageous heart is Ventus and not his own is a toss-up. Boy, this is a series I never thought I'd be talking about for a good list. Watch Dogs. Dear Lord, where do I even start? Easy. Skip number 1 most of the time, play 2, and you are greeted with a great character, Marcus Holloway. This guy is an absolute gem. I'm not gonna lie. When I started Watch Dogs 2, I was so worried they were gonna screw up the main character again. But Marcus changed my opinion. He was clever. He was smart. He was absolutely hilarious when joining DedSec, bonding with Josh, Satara, Ray, his homeboy Wrench. Anytime these two are on screen together, it's like Abbott and Costello. You don't know which one's going to give the funniest line or the funniest anything in the scene, but you more than likely are going to be laughing with both of them at anything they do, and it's great. He's not just some kid who wants to fight the system for whatever reason. He wants to do an injustice because he's felt injustice a lot, and DedSec was the perfect way. He's not this kid who wants to change the system just to change the system and be all powerful. He really wants to make a difference in society, and that's a prime example of a great hero. He's not in it for the fame. He's in it to right the wrongs. And I do love that about Marcus. And all the scenes when he gets to literally screw over one of the villains in the game, whether it's giving the finger to the fake religion chapter after finding out that their mythical stones are fake, just giving it to the Bratha when they try to steal everything, going full Trevor Phillips after Horatio gets killed by the rival hacker gang, to that final line to douche Nemec. Marcus has just got so much personality in such a short amount of time in the game. Well, not a short amount of time, but more like, it's not like rapid fire comedy all the time. When he gets pissed, he gets pissed. And it's not always the best. It's not always mixing the funny with the tragedy. It's letting the tragedy run its course. And then when we get to a good moment, we get to do a bunch of jokes. That's why I love Marcus so much. And why I love Watch Dogs 2 more than Watch Dogs 1 and Legion? The one in London? I didn't play it because, yeah. Strike one, home run on the second one, and then you struck out on the third. Proving that sometimes the sequel is better than the prequel and the next sequel. Just gonna say, Marcus Holloway is a digital cyber hacker, but he does it for all the right reasons, and that's why he's on my list. I'm going back to my very, very, very first video game here, guys. That wasn't a Game Boy Color game. That wasn't Game Boy. That wasn't Nintendo. That wasn't a Sega. But my very first PlayStation. PlayStation 2. I never had a PlayStation 1. But my very first real game came from... Okay. PlayStation... Retro PlayStation, Retro, had 3 poster boys. We had Sly Cooper, who I'm mad that I never played. We had Crash Bandicoot. And of course we had Spyro the Dragon. These games were the benefit of my childhood, my early gamer years, and why I loved super fun games and games that aren't so big budget and big freaking bombastic. Sometimes easy platformers with a small adventure are a lot more fun, and Spyro made all 3 games fantastic. We're not even discussing that disaster of a 4th game and the reboot series where for some reason David Spade was Sparks and Spyro had to have a love interest at the end, and then they kidified him in Skylanders. Great. Spyro is just is one of my favorite old-time characters. He's clever, he's witty. Though during gameplay, he doesn't really talk much, which kind of sucks. From saving all of his dragon brethren. Okay, here's the funny thing. Why in the whole Spyro the Dragon game, why aren't some of the dragons we free female? I mean, there's dragon eggs, but no female dragons. Is that something that we should be concerned about? I'm hoping not. 2, we go off into a new world and save it from an absolute tyrant of a little person. Seriously, what is it with fantasy worlds, heroes taking on really short enemies? From going to their old homeworld and reclaiming it from the hands of an evil witch. Yeah, Spyro was the golden age of my childhood, and playing the Reignited trilogy, okay, yes, I know this is gonna sound like a pun and cliche. It reignited my love for my favorite purple dragon. And Spyro, whatever happens next for you, I'm willing to charge in, glide through the process, and flame on with you once again. I had to get some stupid jokes in on here. Okay, this one is a game where you guys may know, I talk about it a little bit, and it's one of my favorite DS games ever, and I've replayed it more times than I can count. Mega Man. Wait a minute, did I say DS game? Yes, I did. I am talking about the underrated spin-off game, Mega Man Star Force. And the main protagonists, Geostellar, unless you played the first game and you don't go with the original name and you just type in your own name, but then throughout the other 2 games, it's Geostellar, so why did they add that part of making your own name? If it doesn't... I'm babbling too much. I am talking about, again, Geostellar and Omegasys, his alien counterpart, and when merged together, they create Mega Man. Now, Geo is... I love the Star Force trilogy a little bit more than I love the Battle Network saga, because I only played like 3 of the games when I was younger. I only beat the last one. And I never really played all the Mega Man Battle Network ones until now, since I got the Legacy Collection. But playing the Star Force ones was my first real nuance of a new series, of a new take on Mega Man, and I loved it. Geo being a young kid in the 7th grade, like he's almost a teenager, 12, 13 years old, whose father went up into a new space station on a mission and vanished, leaving him kind of antisocial and not wanting to go to school, which I love that throughout the first game, that's what the main focus is. Getting Geo to form bonds with people and to understand that you do need people in order to become a better person. And it's not just by magic of friendship bullshit. Rather than an extraterrestrial electromagnetic being escapes from his planet in order to hide in solitude and to merge with said young boy to become a superhero that fights off evil entities. I'm not kidding. That's literally what this game is about. What makes Geo a great character, and for me, a little bit better than Lan and Mega Man, I'm sorry, but we just go through meeting Omegasys to being our partner for 3 games where we are supposed to know the whole thing about Mega Man and Lan in the first game without really giving us kind of a backstory about them. And unless, at the end of the first game, it's revealed that Mega Man has the secret DNA data of his dead twin brother, so they're technically brothers. See, this is why you don't mess around with cyber stuff. But that's exactly why I love Geo and Omega Sis better. We get to experience their first meeting, Geo starting to trust him and start to form bonds with people and make friends. And what I love is that throughout the series, all 3 games, anytime Geo is starting to get a buildup of confidence and making friends, to having an absolute crush on the pop star singer who becomes his friend and they like each other. Why didn't we get more of that? Okay, yes, I know they're 12 and 13, but they technically do go on a date in 2 of the games, which I absolutely freaking love. I love it. They have a lot more romance than Male and Lan ever did. I'm just saying, it was more visible there. But every time he gets stabbed in the back from number 1, his friends go missing in number 2. He feels like he can't do anything in number 3. He goes back to his old ways and cuts off connection from all of his friends, thinking that he doesn't want to get hurt again, and he doesn't want to let any of his friends down, and he wants to be in solitude. When I played these games when I was... How long ago was it? Yes, I know I should have done this research beforehand, but I don't have a script, so shut up. I'm going to disconnect you one of these days. Mega Man Star Force came out in... Oh, wow. 2007. So right before I entered... No, actually, before I entered high school. Wow. I didn't realize it was that long ago. So going through this whole thing with Geo, finding friends, building connections, and then feeling betrayed and not wanting to get hurt again and solituding yourself, and to not wanting to let your friends down so you feel like you shouldn't have friends to begin with and just cut people off. I 100% felt what that character was going through. It resonated with me so much, and it kind of made me feel better about the person I am today, being someone who's I try to be there for my friends. I love having connections with people. And to have a video game kind of translate that for me in such a fun and great way. That's one of the reasons Geo is on the list. Because of his determination. Because of his not wanting to let his friends down. It's real. And also, yeah, he's shy when he's around a lot of other people. And when he first goes to the school, he's completely... until he finds something that piques his interest, he's basically a shut-in, and I feel the exact same way. So yeah, this game was a literal blueprint for a lot of people who have these issues, and it definitely is a fun game. So if you haven't picked up the Star Force series and you have an old DS, unless they decide to do the Star Force Legacy Collection next year. Is that the next? I hope so. But yeah, Omega Sis and Geo make a great duo, make a great pair, and they make great heroes. Cue the music. Yeah, putting him this low or this middle on the list may enrage some people, but it's not like he's going to actually appear and rip my head off, is he? Is he? Okay. Obviously, for those of you who know, I am talking, the number 7 spot on the list goes to the God of War, the Ghost of Sparta, and one of the best fathers in gaming recently, Kratos from the God of War series. Never before has being a hero been so bloodthirsty and violence-inducing and screwing every woman you come across in said game series. Seriously, Kratos has more sex in all of his games than you do in playing Grand Theft Auto 5. Just pointing that comment out there. Kratos is such a great character because he kind of showcases you don't fuck with a Spartan. You don't do it. And even if you have one in the palm of your fucking hand, don't make him kill his family so he'll have no other choice but to serve you. Dude, Ares, who is also voiced by Steve Bloom, who I forgot to mention in my review, in my talk about him. What were you thinking? Giving this dude weapons that can kill anything, and then he goes off on a revenge quest to eliminate you and any threat that stands in his way. From killing Ares to killing the Sisters of Fates and every other mythical hero and legend in Greek mythology to literally killing the gods and killing the Sisters of Fate, the Three Furies, and accomplishing all of that while being an absolute badass, and also betting the goddess Aphrodite, who I'm hoping is still the only god that's still left alive. I think she is. Unless getting murdered in the sack counts, but probably not. Kratos is absolutely, again, God of War was one of my first violent video games, and number 3 is the only one I have aside from Ascension and the new God of War, not Ragnarok. I didn't play that. So yeah, Kratos is fantastic. So if he's such a badass, why is he in the middle of the list? Because I love Kratos in the Greeks era. And I'm not just saying that because I'm Greek and actually destroying things of my mythological heritage is kind of satisfying. But as much as I did like him in the sequel, okay, put it simply, I do not care for the new God of War game. I'm sorry, but going full rage mode is what Kratos was about. And yeah, I get after he's sacrificed himself to save the world, and then he goes into the Norse mythological realm. It just feels, and then we start not really killing a bunch of mythological deities until the second game, Ragnarok, and it's more over about his son than it is about him, and it kind of feels like you were on a massive high, and like Kratos at the end of number 3, you plummeted. And then you got up again, and then you just walked the basic route. That's all I'm saying. I prefer the original Kratos to the new age Kratos with the beard and all the dad voice. Boy. Oh, I wasn't making the joke. I was just saying boy. Yeah. So overall, loved Kratos in his early years, but as he got into the older years, I started to decline. But Kratos, nonetheless, is always an absolute beast of a hero. And definitely a god you don't want to fuck with. Unless... Nah, I've done too many of that. I love spin-off games. I really, really do. It gives us a big leap and a break from the main hero who we always play as. And I'm just going to say this now. I have recently downloaded Yakuza 0 for the very first time. I've never played it. And yet, yes, I know it was from 2015. And no, I've never played any of the other Yakuza games because I never really knew them when I was younger, and I didn't play violent video games back then. Yes, I know Angry Joe reviewed Yakuza 0 when it came out, and he gave it full praise. I know! But I finally decided to do it after playing the 2 spin-off games that I love, the Judgment series. From being gangsters to being a private eye, former prosecutor... Seriously, is this guy Ace Attorney Phoenix Wright in another life? I mean, they do make a joke about Phoenix Wright in the first games, but I need to replay these games after I beat Yakuza 0. I am talking about, again, a great character that I absolutely love. Wasn't brought up in the Yakuza, but was backed by a Yakuza guy who was basically his surrogate father. And now used to be a prosecutor. Then he became a PI, and he's an absolute badass. Takayuki Yagami from Judgment and Lost Judgment, the sequel. This dude is absolutely as badass as you can possibly get. This is a character everyone loves for no reason other than he just looks absolutely fantastic. From the leather jacket to the chain on his jeans and to the fade on his jeans to show how old they are, to his messy hair, to his absolute badass kick-assery that is his martial arts training. Seriously, fighting with this guy is one of the best things I could ever imagine in a combat video game where I don't use weapons, I don't use special abilities, and it's just fantastic. Tak being he wasn't really disgraced. Basically, long story short, because I pretty much already did that in my Judgment and Lost Judgment reviews. Tak was a prosecutor who prosecuted a guy who was believed to killing his grandfather or to killing people in a hospital, but Tak believing his innocence. A defense attorney. He was a defense attorney, not a prosecutor. Defended him, got a not guilty verdict, and the night he was released, he's arrested for murdering his girlfriend. And believing that he did that, Tak lost all faith in himself, and because he believed that this guy was innocent, and he fought for him, and it turned out he was wrong. So he gave up on being a defense attorney and became a private eye in Kamurocho. And one thing I absolutely love about him is how everything in the first game connects to Tak's past with that one case. Even if it doesn't, that's one great thing about the Yakuza series and the Judgment series. The smallest of tie-ins about everything about that happens in the story connect to everything eventually. No matter how small the incident, no matter how small the interaction, everything connects. And Tak being smack dab right in the middle of it is great. Getting revenge, not revenge really, but getting justice for the people he let down is what Tak is all about. He's witty, he's charming, he's an absolute beast of a fighter, especially after he's had a few too many drinks, because it's just badass. And he's even more badass in the sequel, taking on Another cold cases that, or a small case that leads to something bigger, where he takes on school bullying at a different town in a different city and makes a difference. And like, again, everything from that point on all connects to a bigger plot with a bigger conspiracy, and Tak just handles it fantastic. Whether it's taking on corrupt officials trying to get a secret medication, getting a secret medication greenlit despite human experimentation, to taking down ex-Yakuza members. Well, ex-Yakuza members, I mean, like, they are Yakuza, but he's not, so technically, yeah. To taking on high school bullies, and taking on a serial killer and an undercover agent for the secret police running a gang. There's no to taking down a legion of perverts. Hey, I didn't say anything in these games made sense. All in all, Tak does it with humor, charm, seriousness, and the big moments where things go bad, and Tak gives so much emotion. You always feel when an actor has broken, and it's not just reading the lines, but they feel the lines. And Takayuki Yagami is a pure example of this. From his witty sarcasm to a majority of the side cases and during the main story, to his badass fighting style, to his dedication to law and justice and bringing down those who would abuse that, to just palling around with his buddy Kaito, to basically getting any girl he wants in both games, which is fantastic. It's not done sleazily. He's always a gentleman. Takayuki Yagami is a great character, one of my personal favorites, and the only reason Ryu isn't on here from Yakuza is because, again, I haven't played it yet. But Tak is a damn close second and a great successor and a great spinoff. Okay, we've tackled Golden Boys. We've tackled funny yet somewhat stupid but caring characters, to an absolute bloodbath maker. How about we get into something that's somewhat dark, somewhat comedic, and somewhat at the same time? I want to get this right. Let's see. They're on this list? Really? All right. A canine cop and his... Hang on, I want to get this right. Short, sexy lagomorph with dead shark-like eyes, who has a itchy trigger hand. Wait a minute, shouldn't that be itchy trigger finger? Oh, yeah, he actually, yeah. I'm talking about the freelance police team of Sam and Max. Really? That's the best photo we had of them? Yeah, that's a good point. If any image kind of displays their relationship, it's basically this. Sam and Max, again, was originally a comic series and a short cartoon. So, am I cheating a little bit with this one? Yes. Do I care? Not really. I'm breaking my rule for this one, because Sam and Max is primarily a video game characters, where they had 3 games. And I'm not... Well, okay. They kind of had computer games, and then they had their Telltale adventure games, which are great. And if there's ever a game series where you want satire that makes fun of satire just for the sake of being funny and isn't afraid to be somewhat mature but still had that kiddish tone, then Sam and Max is your game. And the two main characters are absolutely hilarious. From Sam's overlongated catchphrases when he's surprised, kind of like the old days of old noir detectives, to Max being an absolute nutcase that, again, has an itchy trigger hand and isn't afraid to use it. So, what kind of cases do the freelance police kind of basically tackle? Well, I'm going to go through the short list of some of their amazing accomplishments throughout their 3 games. Let's see. Stopped a brainwashing, washed up 60s TV star from brainwashing his competitors into loving him. Solved the mystery of a missing meatball sandwich of the toy mafia that absolutely are not actual mafia. Stopped Santa Claus from going crazy by defeating an eldritch ancient demon. What? Oh, you think this is a joke? No! These two take on more bizarre things than I do while playing with... Oh, no, wait, that actually doesn't make any sense. But neither does half the cases they do. Although, to be fair, they're all in good fun and absolute craziness. And it's weird to me that aside from a rat that lives in their wall, they're one of the only anthropomorphic animal characters. Yeah, every other character in their neighborhood is a human. So, how does that work? Forget it. Anyway, these two have taken on the reanimated statue of Abraham Lincoln. They've taken down an ancient albino cult dude who's actually a bunch of space bacteria. The devil, former child stars, Satan. I've already said Satan. Basically a joke of Cthulhu. A power-hungry brain of a bastard of a pharaoh. All right, seriously, I'm still not making jokes here. Sam and Max have taken on so many supernatural entities and absolute psychopaths. It's hard to pick a couple. And I know I've gone on about their adventures, but what makes them good heroes? Absolutely fucking nothing! As showcased in the 5th episode of Season 2, the personal hell, they have their own section of hell, which is categorized by all the people who they've either injured, maimed, or caused emotional harm throughout their many years. There's filing cabinets upon filing cabinets. It reminds me of this. Yeah! And everyone who's died during their investigations has their own personal hell. Satan even thanks them for all the business they give him. So, I know what you're thinking. If they're not good heroes, why are they on the heroes list and kind of high up? Basically, they're great characters. Playing as Max and the banter between them is just all good fun. The ridiculousness of how we solve the cases and get through all the scenarios are increasingly stupid, but at the same time still funny. And it's their banter between each other and a majority of the other characters. It just makes them great characters to love and somewhat fear, considering not only is Max technically still the president of the United States of America, he's also the high priest of Easter Island. Seriously. I'm not making this up. This actually happens in order to save the world. Seriously, play the games if you guys, if you got spare time, play the games. I don't have all day to talk about all of Sam and Max's bizarre adventures, even though I gave a good number of quick cliff notes of some. Anyway, they're funny, they're chaotic, but at the end of the day, they do get the job done, so what more can you ask for? We've gone from psychopaths to literally give gall about anyone who gets in their way. Now we're going to a character that helped that I think helped a lot of people during a difficult time during the pandemic a good number of years ago. And from one of my favorite independent companies, Deck 9 gave us Alex Chen from Life is Strange: True Colors. To have such a rough upbringing and to being a psychic empath that can feel the other emotions of people around her and to actually portray them in a super cool ability. Alex is way up there in some of my favorite female characters in video games, and surprisingly the only female lead main hero in my list, and she's high up there. When I first heard that Life is Strange was bringing out this game and the premise of a mystery kind of where you can read people's emotions, I'm like, okay, that's going to be pretty easy. It wasn't. It actually threw me for a loop a good number of times. And with Alex having to move into the Haven Springs, Colorado to be with her brother, who she hasn't seen in a long, long time, to get some form of normalcy in her life again. And Alex definitely showcases someone who's had a rough life and isn't really sure how to handle some new things. I mean, she doesn't know what to do with her when she meets her brother for the first time in years. When she meets new people, she's kind of not shy or off-putting like Geo Stellar was, but still has the knowledge to want to actually be better and want to socialize with people. And then tragedy strikes again, and then she doesn't really cut off, but she's there for people. She's there for people regardless. And having the ability that she has to read people's emotional state and to help them through their issues. And when this game came out, obviously people around the world were going through the negativity of being alone and everything. And I think this game, not only just giving us one of the best couples in video game, Steph and Alex forever, not gonna leave that alone. I gotta mention it. It just gave people the tools to kind of go through their own emotions and to how to help deal with it. I mean, it helped with me. And everything Alex does throughout all the 5 episodes of the game, she showcases her anger. She showcases the fact that bad stuff has happened. She can still have fun. She can still laugh through it. She can still be a teenager. Being alone for so long and being thrusted into a new life and meeting new people, it's a great experience. And it's never done in a cliche way. It's done in a great way that honestly helped me a lot during that time. And it's definitely a game I will never forget. And Alex Chen is a big reason for that. I can't say anymore. I can't say enough good stuff about what an amazing character they created. And I got to give props to the voice actress too for all the singing moments. From singing Creep, Blister in the Sun. God damn it. I don't remember the actress's name, but you need to be in more stuff. You and Ashley, who voices Steph, need to be in more stuff together. I'm not going to lie. You guys are fantastic. And thank you for bringing a great character to help us all deal with our emotions in our own way. So I thank you, Life is Strange. Okay, we're still sticking to a character that helps people mentally in a game series that's been a cult classic for a decade or so. And a game series that I got into kind of lately, like during the pandemic, during lockdown and everything. I decided, after following a lot of video game reviewers and people who do top lists, I did a video of this last month, and I mentioned it again after figuring out the game, finding the game, watching the videos, and a sequel was announced. I got the sequel, and then last year I got the first game digitally. I played through it all, and it really helped me. A 10-year-old. What is it with me and 10-year-old superheroes? First Ben 10, and now Rasputin Aquato from Psychonauts. Definitely the prime example of sometimes we all just need a little push to be great. Rasputin is, again, one of my top favorite heroes in video games, not just because of his amazing psychic abilities, which, again, in this game, they're all fun, they're all great, but more so about his character development. He starts off as a kid who wants to become a psychonaut just to be who he is, a psychic and a family of circus people who don't like psychics. Until, number 2 comes out, and at the end of the first game, and we find out the truth. Again, like I said, they don't leave any road unturned, and no question unanswered in the Psychonauts sequel. But again, it's Raz's development throughout both of the games that make him a great character. From being kind of, I don't want to say show-off-ish, but being self-taught with his psychic abilities, he does show a lot of promise in the first game. And going through basic braining, going through the brain tumbler experiment, and going through Sasha's mind, he learns quickly about how things can affect the mind and why he needed to be careful. And then going through people's minds in the asylum section, knowing that he can help people through their traumas. And I like it, going through people fighting off someone's internal critic, to helping them gain their confidence back and breaking their split personality void, to helping a guy get over his high school obsession and trauma in order to move past it on his own life. Everything in the first game showed Raz becoming a novice to learning more. And then, in the second game, learning to fix his mistakes in order to become better, into helping people with their own trauma. And again, the fact that Psychonauts 2 and Life is Strange True Colors came out around the same time, within a year of each other, I want to say. And around that time, I was going through some dark stuff myself, personally. And these games helped me deal with all my stress, all my insecurities, all my heartache. These games help me in an immense way, and that's why I love Rasputin. He is so relatable. He's a kid who wants to know more, but yeah, he fails, and he messes up a lot. But he's never excused by what he did. more so, he's told that he understands when he's done something wrong, and he does better to try not to let it happen again. And I love it. And that's why I want a third game where we can tackle more issues. And I'm going to give a spoiler for a future video that I may do. I met Richard Horvitz, I think last year at Fan Expo, and just telling him that how amazing he is and his voice and his characters, and how playing the Psychonauts game during the pandemic, well, not the pandemic, but during the aftermath of the pandemic and a lot of things happening, playing that game really helped me emotionally with all of my problems. And I thanked him for being Rasputin and for helping me go through all that stuff. And he was just so amazed by that, gave me a hug and everything, posed with me for a photo, and he was just an amazing guy. And I'll talk more about that in a future video when I do my Tales from the Convention. But overall, Rasputin Aguado, I've said it all. Helping people through their own personal traumas, understanding how to fix your mistakes and how to take responsibility for your mistakes, and learning how to help people through all their emotional baggage. And that is why Rasputin is number 3 on the list, because of how well he helped me and how well throughout his own series he helps all the other characters from his own game. So, Rasputin Aguado, you're an amazing side cadet, and I hope we get to see more of you in the future. Okay, full disclosure, I played 2 of these games, the second and the second last and the last game of this series, but I don't care. I've watched both. I've watched the first 2 games. I played the third and the fourth. I know the whole story. I know the character. This guy is basically Naughty Dog's answer to how can we make a comical, somewhat a-hole-ish, but amazing adventure character, and we get Nathan Drake from Uncharted. Hell yeah! Nathan Drake is the quintessential and the counterbalance of Lara Croft. And again, one of my favorite characters in a kind of a game I don't really play. I don't really like the whole first-person shooter adventure kind of games, but Uncharted changed my mind. Going through the entirety of the game, it's hard to explain. Basically, from greatness from small beginnings, and that not only being Sir Francis Drake's life motto, basically describes Drake to be in spades. From his small upbringing that we find out through games 3 and 4, to the greatness that he is throughout all 4 games. I fucking can't get over how awesome he is. From his witty comebacks to his nonchalant, deadpan delivery half the time. You know what? I just gotta play a quick clip.
Donate.
Oh, no. No. Now, wait a second. Sully, kick her out and shut the door. We're safer in here.
Dear God.
Oh, no. It's not that bad. Look, I have my own bucket. Last cell I was in, 8 of us had to share.
Is it done? Okay, good. To his absolute ability to find the most attractive women everywhere. For example, Chloe Fraser and Elena Fisher. Really glad that he went with Elena. I mean, come on. She was my favorite girl. And I just love how he has banter with his love interests, with his brother in the 4th game, with any of the villains. He has some psychotic, smart-ass banter with, and to his partner and surrogate father, Victor Sullivan, a.k.a. Sully. I love Nathan so much. No matter what he goes through, he always does it with enthusiasm, with an adrenaline rush, And he always has a sly comeback to fall back on when fisticuffs don't really work. And like I said, greatness from small beginnings. He started off at the bottom, and despite what a villain said, that through all his bravado, through all his adventures, he's got nothing to show for it, I highly disagree. Nathan Drake showed that just because you start off small doesn't mean you end up small. And just because you don't get the riches, you don't get what you want, sometimes what you need is all you really need. And I love it. I love his entire relationship with Elena. In all 4 games, it's perfect. The banter, how they met, is hilarious at the beginning of the first game. To all the cute little, again, banter yet flirty moments between them in all 4 games. To the heartbreak moments in the 3rd and the 4th game. And then reconciling it. Like, I can't wait to do a video game couples list and to put these guys somehow high on the list. I'm going to have to go through it very methodically, but overall, Nathan Drake has the charm, the charisma, the attitude, the banter, the humor that makes an amazing main dude. And seriously, why did it have to be a fan project that wasn't real, where Nathan Fillion plays Nathan Drake? Why haven't we made that an official thing? They're basically the same guy. Both of their names are Nathan. For fuck's sake, make it happen. And yeah, I know we got an Uncharted movie, but I'd rather not remember that at all. Except for the part where Nolan North made a cameo appearance. That's the only thing I want to remember from that movie. Seriously, Fillion, I know you did the fan-made one, and it was fantastic. I'd rather watch that 100 times than watch any sequel where this was made. Am I being a little bit harsh? Yes. Do I care? No. Am I being super harsh? Yes. Make it happen. Where was I again? Oh, right. Nathan Drake. Absolute amazing hero. And there's only one character that surpasses him. You can go now. You know what? It takes a lot for me to get emotionally tangled with a character in a video game. There are characters who I've throughout my life in playing all these games, I get emotionally attached to some of the characters in shows, in movies, in books, in games that I connect with. And there are some times when you can feel where you can kind of see the emotion that they're going for in certain moments. But then there's characters that make you feel the emotion, and you're literally going through what they're going through. Characters like Geostellar, Yagami, Alex, Rasputin, Nathan, all of them have moments where you feel the emotional sections of the game. But they also have the humor, the charm, and just make you feel like they're a real person. A lot of these characters, I feel like they're real characters because they act and emote and behave like real people. There are characters who go through a lot of shit, and somehow in the majority of a lot of cliches, they change for the worse. They absolutely change, and they don't go back. For example, Aiden Pierce for the first one. I mean, yeah, we get a little bit of banter from him, but not that much. And this character, who's at the top of my heroes list, is a hero that came from what some people say is one of the worst games, or not the worst, one of the most lackluster games of the series. And I 100% disagree. I'm talking about a character who basically didn't start, but had every stepping stone to creating what the Creed stood for. From the sands of Siwa, I give you, from Assassin's Creed Origins, Bayek of Siwa, my favorite video game hero is from the one of the few. Okay, I'm babbling, which came from kind of not rebooting, but changing the face of the Assassin's Creed franchise, and was the best stepping stone in the worst direction they possibly went with the RPG style of gameplay. But overall, Bayek as a character, nonetheless, is the top of the top, in my opinion. We see in the flashback sections where he was a father and raising his son the way he was, and also being a guardian of Siwa, protector and a soldier and defender for the Pharaoh, until that fateful day in his home of Siwa, the order came, forced him to try to open the door, and his son got in the way, and then for the next couple years, Bayek and his wife spend a good amount of years tracking down the men who were responsible, only to discover that there's more than meets the eye, and he continues his quest to take out the Order of Ancients within Egypt. Now again, a lot of people agree the RPG style of gameplay for the Assassin's Creed game is one of the weakest ones in the series. And I'm not going to lie, I had the same opinion. But after playing the whole thing of Origins and having this journey with Bayek, the death of his son Hamut changes him. But at the same time, he still retains his humanity. He doesn't go stone cold. He doesn't go absolutely crazy when he's around people. He's still himself. Like, throughout side missions, throughout main missions, he laughs. He loves his wife when the job is supposedly done. He feels duty-bound with his friends. To all the people he meets, we see him cry, we see him angry, we see him absolutely furious in the first section of the game, where it's an opening cutscene, which is badass on every fucking level, to the scenes where I talked about in my Order of Ancients of Origins list, where the sections with the Crocodile Saga and the Scarab, we see his anger, we see his sorrow, we see the emotion coming from Bayek. And every line that's delivered by the voice actor, I think I have his name right here. Side project. Abu Bakar Salim. I hope I'm saying that right. If I'm not, I apologize. But every line this man delivers it's perfection. I believe every cry for help. I believe every scream of anger. I believe every laugh of comedic reasoning for camaraderie with his friends. Every moment of seriousness and every sorrow. I feel every bit of emotion, and it's hard to portray so much emotion when you're reading a script in it for a video game, and to make it seem so effortlessly like this character is real. And it even goes further in the sections of the DLC with the Hidden Ones DLC and the Curse of the Pharaohs DLC, where he has his own banter with himself, and how he starts a rule for the creed that a blade of we shall not shed the blood of the innocent with our blades. The entirety of Origins created a character that is so amazing that I was originally going to put either Ezio or Edward on this list. Full disclosure. But there were times, seeing Ezio's evolution from novice, from a child to an adult, and from Edward learning that what he did, his way of life, caused harm and that he's the only one left. I like all three of them, but Bayek's whole character derived from a single moment in his life, just like Ezio, but the fact that, yeah, he went berserk on some people, but at the same time, the full emotion of his character and his entire journey, it just felt right. And that's why Bayek of Siwa is my number one video game hero. And I'm hoping somewhere along the line we go back to Bayek and see another adventure. But until then, thank you for joining me for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed the list. What are some video game heroes you think I missed? Like, comment, subscribe down below, and join me as I start April off, where I'm doing a very special themed month. And for the first video, we're going to be talking about one of the best businessmen in the comics, as we want Spider-Man! This is Gamer K, logging out.